G'day mates, how you going? Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, Australian PM Anthony Albanese today announced that Australia will recognise the state of Palestine in September, following the lead of France, UK, Canada, Malta, and likely some other countries. The Kiwis, the New Zealanders, they might also be involved, though yet to be confirmed. Now, Australia is, of course, widely considered part of the Western world. So the shift is this country's most significant move towards a balanced stance on Israel and Palestine in half a century. They are part of the Western world, which is largely seen as the last bastion of support for the Israeli state. You know, blind support in many cases, blank checks for days, because, you know, I don't know why actually. But why now? That's the question. Because that's the news we just shared, so you can go home. That's the news you came for. But maybe it's the analysis that you'll stay for, which I hope is some juicy analysis. Anyway, first, like, bookmark, comment, please, to help me spread my news. Anyway, let's just get straight back into it. Australia's citizens are not happy with what the Israelis have been doing in Gaza, and they're definitely not happy that Australia provides the Israeli state with back-channel support and public support, military aid, components for Israeli military weapons of war like fighter jets, Australian intelligence sharing. These are all now in the crosshairs of Australians up and down their colossal country. They want no part in supporting the crimes against humanity occurring in historic Palestine. Now, this is how geopolitics works here. The Australian government don't really care for Palestine, right? Hot take. Well, it's not a hot take, but if you don't really study geopolitics, it's a hot take. Analytically speaking, they don't give a damn, right? If they did, it would not take them 2 years and 60,000 lives in Gaza lost for them to finally start condemning the occupier. So any notion that Australia's government care for Palestine, it's foolish. It's optimistically so. But we are not ingesting copium on this channel. We are ingesting realitum. I'm definitely ingesting something, I'll tell you that much. We're focused on the reality, right? And the reality is the Australian people are demanding change of policy from their government, and the government are trying to throw them a bone, trying to keep the lid on, be like, hey, be happy with that, all right. Here, we'll recognize Palestine next month. You happy with that? Go on, get off my damn bridge, mate. Sydney Bridge, Sydney Harbour Bridge. Sorry. Now, the evidence that this promise to recognize Palestine is linked to the calls of the people. Let me give you the evidence. A major event just occurred on August 3rd, just a week ago, when tens of thousands of Australian demonstrators took part in, quote, the March for Humanity across the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Organised by the Palestine Action Group in Australia, protesters carried kitchen pots and pans and started banging them as symbols of the enforced hunger in Gaza due to Israel's blockade. Directly caused by Israel's blockade. People are starving, in some cases to death. The protest aimed to demand peace, humanitarian aid access, and sanctions on Israel by the Australian state. Estimates of attendance varied from 90,000 to 300,000 people, including a diverse crowd from all ethnicities across all age groups. In a city of 5.4 million people, Sydney, not the capital, by the way, that's Canberra. For 200,000 people, though, to come out is absolutely insane. For a cause not domestic, insane. For a foreign policy position of the Australian state that, is not even something Australia is directly involved in. It's in the periphery, right? It's a supporting role. So it's unheard of. But the people of Australia are clear. We want no part in this dark chapter of history, on this side especially, in this chapter of history. Hell no, because this is some sort of Schindler's List type thing going on, and we cannot look back on Australia's complicity in this. Hell nah, right? They don't say hell nah, but anyway, I don't know actually what they say. I know Down Under, I know Aussies, I know Outback. Anyway, In geopolitics, a nation's government tries various things when the will of the people on a matter is particularly pressing. To ease the pressure, they have various countermeasures, various techniques, various tactics they use. But like I described earlier, agreeing to recognize Palestine is like throwing the Australian citizens a bone, right? And hoping they'll be okay with that, just chomping down on that. But the citizens of this Oceania colossus are not so narrow-minded. Analyst, one guy? Yeah, one guy in his box home office in London. No, analysts suggest this move to recognize Palestine by the Australian state will not calm the masses down and may actually push them for further protest, push them towards further action, because they see the needle has moved, right? There is something, is the most impactful thing in Australia's foreign policy on this matter in 50, 60 years. It's not much, but beggars can't be choosers. It's something. So they'll pile on, those who are pro-Palestine, those who are pro-justice, pro-humanity at this point, right? Pro-not starvation, right? Anti-starvation. They'll pile on the pressure to see more movement. This little nudge in the needles movement is not going to be enough for them. People, for example, are unlikely to budge until Australia takes much more concrete positions against starvation tactics, against component sales by Australia that end up in Israeli jets, and against the 500 million in bilateral trade between the two countries, Israel and Australia. In Western democracies, generally speaking, the civil liberties afforded to citizens is being flexed, right? They're using those muscles. They want their governments to shift stance, even if it means moving away from a historic ally. As Albus Dumbledore in the Harry Potter series once said, "It takes a great deal of courage to stand up to your enemies, but a great deal more to stand up to your friends." So the dial has budged in Australia. It is a significant movement, especially in this Western democratic state. Is it enough? Well, the Australian people say absolutely not. For the Australian citizens, this is a first. It is not the last thing that they want the Australian state to accept as far as Palestine is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, it continues to be a pleasure. Please help me in any way you can. Reach out to me via email, via voice note, because there's a link in my TikTok bio that allows you to. Please reach out to me through just a message or a comment on, wherever you're watching this. Help me however you can. Engage with me however you can, so that I can bring the news and the analysis unbiased without the Western spin to more people. Otherwise, see you on the next one.